Mike Fitzpatrick, would you please step forward? Mike and I were talking. I think he has a cool story, and I'm going to put him on the spot. You could do it. You could do it.
All right. My name is Mike Fitzpatrick. I am from Cocoa Beach, Florida, and Artie talked to me about 15 minutes ago and asked if I could do a little speech. And I said, sure, no problem. I thought somebody was going to videotape me. So no, it's not a big deal. But then he mentioned, well, you're going to come up here and talk in front of everybody. So I kind of wasn't prepared for that. But anyway, Artie wanted me to share a quick little story with you. And this is my 5th year coming to this conference. And 5 years ago when I first came here, I've been teaching 20 years, elementary school. And 5 years ago when I first came here, I kind of found myself kind of in a rut. I wasn't growing as a teacher. I was kind of stagnant in my lessons that I was doing, and I was kind of, I guess maybe bored and kind of doubting what I was doing. And I needed something new, something to inspire me so that I get out of this rut. My flame, my passion was out, and I needed something to reignite it. And 5 years ago, along came the PE Institute, and I asked my district supervisor if she would pay the way for me to go. Got that all set up and came here 5 years ago and was just absolutely blown away by the presenters, the keynoters, and the people that were here, and never knew how passionate and what level PE could actually get to and was at. Back when the PE Institute first started, it was a week long. It was Monday through Friday, and it was just day after day after day, just like this is, of just incredible keynotes and presenters and just information and stuff that I could use to help me grow as a teacher. And after that first year, I mean, my flame was lit, my passion was reignited, and I mean, I came back on a mission just to be the best teacher that I could be. Not for me, but also for my students, because if you're at the top of your game, you're going to bring your students to the top of their game. And being here ignited my flame, and it got to me to be the teacher that I can be. So I've been coming back every single year, and I can't miss it. Can't miss it. And you guys probably feel the same way. Just the inspiration you get from everybody that's here associated with this. And it just reignited my passion. And I'm happy to say that because of that, coming here and allowing myself to soak in every little aspect of what presenters do. And it's more than just the games that you learn, the activities you learn. I kind of look at the presenters and I study how they interact with us and the students, and just kind of pick apart different ways that people present and teach their students. And I incorporated all of that from so many different presenters, incorporate that into how I do my teaching. And I'm happy to say, and very proud to say, that last year I was noticed for that I was selected as the Florida Elementary School Teacher of the Year this past year. So I just want to, number one, I want to thank Artie. Thank you, Artie, for doing that. And just for you to hear the story, how it affected one teacher and how it got me out of my rut that I was in and brought me up here. Because 5 years ago, it's not that long ago, but it's amazing how much has changed within 5 years. I mean, that's kind of along when Twitter was just finally getting to get started. And I don't think Phys Ed, sorry, it's hard to say. I don't know if you guys were together yet. You might have just started getting together. But within 5 years, so much has changed and just kind of exploded for us, for PE teachers, that the resources that are out there now and the people that are willing to share their resources, it's awesome. It is just awesome. And it's just, if you want it, it's out there. And I know all of you are going to be leaving here inspired and for your teaching and to be the best teacher that you can be. And that's my story.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You're very welcome. It's now my privilege to introduce Naomi Hardl. Naomi Hardl is originally from Canada. Woo-hoo! She is employed by Spark. She's one of the many, many talented people that work for the Spark organization, and I'm sure Naomi could share a little bit about what she's currently doing. And that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Artie. Thank you. Thank you. Just gonna move these back because I'm kind of a pacer while I talk, and I'm a little bit of a hand talker too, so I had to tuck my mic into my shirt. So, okay. So first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for being here today. And I want to thank everybody who's online watching here as well. This is your time, and I know it's precious, so thank you for giving it to me for the next half hour or so. And I just want to thank Artie as well for putting on this amazing conference. I think we need to give him a round of applause and his team. So I'm up here to talk to you about a journey towards the tipping point. And I'd like to know how many of you have read this book, The Tipping Point, How Little Things Can Make a Big Difference. Hands up nice and high. Awesome. So if you haven't read it, I'd like to read the back just to let you know a little bit about it. The tipping point is that magic moment when an idea, trend, or social behavior crosses a threshold, tips, and spreads like wildfire. Just as a single sick person can start an epidemic of the flu, so too can a small but precisely targeted push cause a fashion trend, such as the fanny pack, okay? The popularity of a new product, or a drop in crime rate. But what does a tipping point actually look like? I want to share with you a quick little video. It's a little shaky, but we'll just watch it, and I'm going to kind of explain a few things as we watch. We can also pick up some awesome dance moves, and I'm not saying that sarcastically. So as you can see, there's a lone person dancing all by themselves, doing their own thing. And another person jumped in and joined him as he danced. One of the cool things was that first person actually acknowledged that second person. And if you saw them, they grabbed the hands and kind of danced together, saying kind of, thank you for joining in with me. Oh, and there's a third person joining in. The crowd is thinking, what the heck is going on? As you can see, more and more and more people are jumping in and joining in on this dance. It's at this moment here that they've reached that tipping point, where that action became so noticeable that people couldn't help but join in, and in the case of this video, dance. And more people from that crowd now see what is happening, and they say, I need to be a part of that. I need to jump in. What was once scary, everybody is doing, so I have to become part of that. And it's become just a big dance party. So for me, that's a sample of what a tipping point looks like. Malcolm Gladwell says, a tipping point is the moment when the momentum for change becomes unstoppable. When the momentum for change becomes unstoppable. But what are we tipping towards? Hardl, what are you talking about right now? Okay? The goals that I believe the health and the physical education community are tipping towards, or should be tipping towards, are as follows. I think there are 4 goals that we want to try to reach. And the first one is no longer standing for the stereotypes of our profession. I will know we have reached our end goal when I see a physical education teacher portrayed appropriately in a TV show or in a movie, right? You all know those people and in those videos, and I just roll my eyes and I don't like it. The second idea, the second goal, came from a conversation I was having with Sarah Gittier-Hartman last summer in St. Louis in June. And she had this idea that she later wrote a blog post on, and she said, when will non-traditional PE just be PE? Why do we refer to the roll at the ball style of teaching as traditional and the teaching to best practices as non-traditional? So I will have known that we have met that tipping point and surpassed it when we have met that goal. The third goal is when effective health and physical education is offered to every single child in every single school across our country and across our world. Not just those that are able to move, okay? For every single child. And the fourth one is when the health and physical literacy journeys of our students is the focus of our curriculums, is the focus of our courses. And we, as educators, become a stakeholder amongst many other stakeholders that are supporting those students in their health and physical literacy journeys. Those are the four goals that I feel we are trying to tip towards. Now, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. I also believe it starts with a story. And I want to tell you a story today. And yes, that was my baby picture, just to let you all know. Okay? So once upon a time, I want to tell you a story of an isolated teacher who found a community of educators who supported her and nourished her passion and her voice to stand here in front of you here today. This is going to be my story. I grew up in a small, tiny, tiny, tiny little town in Lake Lenore, Saskatchewan, Canada. The population of my town was 300 people. I graduated with 12 kids in my class, 10 girls and 2 boys. I knew, don't judge the grade 12 or grade 10 picture, I knew I wanted to be a physical education teacher when I was in grade 10. My passion for sports consumed me in high school, especially basketball. And I decided that I was going to be a physical education teacher like my physical education teacher and coach like he did. Now, I chose to coach because I wanted to take my team to, as you would call it, going to state. The provincial championships is what we called it, or hoopla. My team never made it that far. We made it to the level below regionals, and I was heartbroken. It crushed me, because I'd worked so hard. I was the kid that was in the gym every morning, after school, every break we had. I had to work very, very hard to be an average player. And it was crushing, because we didn't make it. Crushing. So I decided to be a physical education teacher so I could coach. Not for any noble reason, not to instill a love of sport or a love of movement, but to give myself the experience that I never had. So a little bit selfish. But as my love for teaching grew, as my love for coaching grew, my love for teaching bloomed as well. And my first teaching job was in Carleton Comprehensive High School in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. And this school had a population of 2,100 kids. So remember, I grew up in a town of 300 people. I am now teaching in a school that has 7 times as many kids. So it's definitely a new experience for me, but it was a really incredible journey. In this school, I had a PE department of 8 people that I got to bounce ideas off of and have conversations with. When I was teaching, I taught courses Physical Education 8, Physical Education 9, Wellness 10, and Science 9. So it wasn't too bad. I also did some coaching. It was here, in the middle of the school year, that I was introduced to Twitter. And I was actually introduced by my basketball kids. I really didn't care about it at first. But I soon found out that there were a community of educators that were there to support me. And as I said, help me stand on the stage today. And I'd like to introduce a few of those people for you right here. And you may know these two to start, because they were here last year. Joey Fight and Jared Robinson. They were some of the early influencers for me. And Jared Robinson, from the PEgeek.com, he's one of the people that I went to for all things tech and PE. And I first learned about QR codes from a blog that he had written using geocached QR codes for revision in a PE classroom. Anything tech and PE that I wanted to know about, he was blogging about it. Joey Fight of the PhysicalEducator.com introduced PE Chat to us. And what PE Chat was, it was on Twitter. And it happened every Monday. At that time, it was every Monday at 7 p.m. in a specific time zone. And they had a moderator of that chat with questions. And the moderator would put out the question. So, for example, assessment in PE was the topic. And they put out a question. We'd answer those questions and kind of have conversations with everybody that was joined in on that chat. And this is where I really first learned to share my voice. And Joey helped that and supported me in that process. So much so that my principal at the time asked me to present at a staff meeting on how I was using QR codes in the classroom and on Twitter. And I even wore a QR code t-shirt that I had created. Now, my second year of teaching, I moved to a smaller community of 460 people, a little bit more my style. The school, there was 93 kids in the school, K through 12. It was pretty cool because I was the only physical education specialist, so I had my own program. I got to do what I wanted to do. The gut feeling that I had, my first year where sometimes things just didn't feel quite right, I could now make that feel better. I could now do what I wanted. Now, the downfall of that is I had to plan and create my own program. I had to do my own thing. I didn't have educators that I could communicate with and reflect on a daily basis in my school. Yes, there were teachers within my division that I could talk to, but nobody specifically in my school, and I felt isolated. Now, amongst that challenge, another challenge, and it was the courses that I taught. And I'll just kind of let these pop up on the screen as you check them out. So what you're seeing here are the curricular documents that I taught. So how that works in Saskatchewan is, that's just the cover page of it, but if you think of Shape America's national standards and grade level outcomes, that the book that they also have like a printout document that you can get. Well, we had something like that similar, where we have outcomes and indicators. That's what we taught to. And I had 18. So I taught physical education 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, wellness 10, math 9, math 10, health education 6, 7, 8, and 9, and career education 6, 7, 8, and 9. So on top of that, I was also the athletic director. I started a weightlifting club for my students. And I coached. I almost blanked there for a second, but I coached. I coached basketball, volleyball, badminton, and track and field. So I was doing a little bit of stuff. I was doing a lot. Just a tiny little bit. And it was at this point that I was starting to It was very stressful. It was very hard. And it was very overwhelming. And I loved teaching. And I knew that if something didn't change, I wouldn't want to teach anymore. And that was a very, very hard thing for me to admit. And as you can see, it still bothers me by the emotion that I feel. Now, I just want to let you know that I am doing okay. And I accepted an opportunity with an amazing company, Sport Time and Spark, in October of 2014. And I moved to the United States of America in January 2015. And all the work that I was doing on the side, I was working to make my kids as best, give them the best experience possible. But I was also working with the Phys Ed team and the Phys Ed Summit and trying to push other teachers thinking forward and support them in ways that I wasn't supported. And I now get to work with some amazing people across the country and support teachers in ways that I didn't feel supported. So why did I do it? Two things. My kids, the students that I taught. And the second one was the community of educators who supported me as I tried to go throughout my journey. They kept me going. And I'd like to introduce a few more of those people to you right now. Matt Pomeroy was one of the first people that made me feel like I was a part of a team. Matt and I did a little bit of work together. We started some video chats. We hadn't met each other yet, but this is just what you do within the online community. You make friends with people that are passionate just like you, that want support just like you. Sportfolio chat was one of the first things we had started talking about. And what we had done was, we were both using Sportfolios in our classroom. We thought, hey, other people might want to know about this. So we started doing a little chat, a video chat. We also did another one with Adam Howell called Google Script Chat, which now is Google Add-ons. So if you know anything about Google Apps for Education, it's just it allows you to, the word is automatically do some new things. The next person that I want to introduce to you, which you may not even need introducing, you know who he is, Andy Vasily. Andy Vasily is the founder of PEPLIC, or as we called it, Physical Education Professional Learning Community. And this was a project that he had put together to get teachers from across the country and really across the world sharing their knowledge and their expertise and their experience to have conversations about certain topics. And the group that I had talked about innovation and technology and assessment, and Adam Metcalf, woohoo, was one of my teammates, and he's sitting right here today. So it's been a pretty cool experience to get to know and meet people from across the world, and even we were just North America, and have conversations about assessment and technology and really what each other was doing and push our practices forward. And he also supported me in writing my very first blog post, which is a really cool feeling, a really cool experience. Another person I want to share with you is Adam Howell, and you've heard him speak a few times this week here. And Adam was the moderator of my PE chat that I attended every week. And he pushed my thinking. He pushed my thinking forward and challenged me to say, is what you're doing best practices? Is what you're doing, is it best for your kids? And it made me think, and the next day I would go to school so excited with a new lens of thinking for how I could teach my students in a better way. He had asked Matt and I to be a part of his Phys Ed team, and later added Colin Brooks, Sarah Gittier-Hartman, and Jonathan Jones. And most recently, Jorge Rodriguez. Woohoo! And we've been doing some work over the past few years with William Bodie to create the Phys Ed Summit, and you've heard about that today, many times this week. And we hope that you can all participate and join in that. This is my Phys Ed department now, since I'm not teaching. These are the people that I lean on and that I rely on to support me. So at the beginning, I shared a video of that lone person dancing all by themselves. And soon, more and more people joined in with them to reach that tipping point when that action becomes so noticeable that people couldn't help but fit in, when the momentum for change becomes unstoppable. A little bit of my story, and part of who I am and what I've done. So the tipping point, let's go back to this book. Malcolm says that there are 3 principles that lead to a tipping point: law of the few, law of context, and stickiness. Law of the few. He says that there's a small percentage of people that are responsible for the tipping of almost all social epidemics. This small percentage of people do the majority of the work. And there are 3 different types. They're the mavens. They are the databanks that provide the message. Think of that lone person dancing all by themselves, providing a message. If I'm going to stand up here and dance, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. This is what I'm going to do because it feels right. The second one are the connectors. These are the people that take that message and they spread it. They're that social glue. And the third one are the salespeople. They have the skills to persuade us that this is the message that we must say. This is the message that we must spread and share with the rest of the world. Now, within this online community of the people that I just shared, my early influencers, there are mavens, there are connectors, and there are salespeople who've helped push me forward and helped push us towards that tipping point. Now the second one, so the first one was the law of the few. The second one is law of context. And Malcolm says if you want to bring a fundamental change into people's beliefs and behaviors, you need to create a community around them where these new beliefs can be practiced, expressed, and nurtured. I need to get everybody to stand up, please. And I'd like to get you to do some actions with me so that we remember what this community is like. Now, I've been talking about the online community a lot because that's what I know. But just think, do any of these things apply to a community that you feel that you are a part of? So the first thing that I want you to do with the people beside you is I want you to link arms with them. Don't be shy. If there's nobody beside you, look behind you. There you go. This represents the connection that has happened, that I've experienced within my online community. We're just going to stay standing, so if you want to keep connected, that'd be fantastic. We're going to do this, folks. Okay? Voxer. This is an example of how people are communicating with each other. And if you don't know what Voxer is, it's like a walkie-talkie app. I can communicate with people from across the world and share what is happening. The best part about this app is I can make small groups. This is how our Phys Ed Summit team plans for our conference, because we're not in the same place. It's a great tool to use to connect with people. The next thing that I'd like you to do, put your arm around the people beside you. This represents, yep, get to know them. I know, we all got sweaty, it's all good, we all smell the same. Collaboration. This represents the collaboration that is happening within our online community. What does this look like? Crowdsourced resources. How I would describe crowdsourced resources are when people get together, share an idea, and then share it out with the world. Now, we do this digitally online because you can't actually get together to do it. An example of this was from Andy Hare and his Phys Ed, Aussie Phys Ed crew, as he calls it. And they created this Rio Olympics document that shares a bunch of different activities that will be happening within the Olympics that you can use while they're happening to share that with your students. It's a really neat resource. The next action, shake hands with two people beside you. This represents the sharing that is happening with the online community. It could also represent sharing of germs with your hands, so hopefully everybody washed their hands. Podcasts. There are many, many podcasts out there that are sharing about PE and health and what is going on. If you would have talked to me 4.5 years ago when I first got online, I didn't even know what a podcast was. But the fact that I can listen to basically this audio file while I'm on the move, a run, a walk, working out. If you get motion sick like me, on a plane, you can't read. So I listen to podcasts. So it's a great tool that you can use to reflect and hear about what is happening within physical education. I need everybody to turn to their left. And I want you to put your hands on the shoulders of the people in front of you. This represents the leadership that is happening within the online community. Now, you've heard about the Phys Ed Summit. And I want to share quickly, and I don't know if Rich is still here. I know he was here at one point. He had to leave? Okay. Well, Rich, you just shout out. Okay? Shout out to Ryan, Rich, and Matt. This is the SB Chat folks. They are just like kind of PE chat, but an elementary school chat on Twitter. And they took the challenge that our Phys Ed Summit crew put out last summer. And we said we cannot do the Phys Ed Summit by ourselves anymore. This is not going to be sustainable for us to do forever. So we want others to take on this challenge, kind of like the EdCap model. And their crew took that on and started doing one, and they did one last October. And it was a really cool thing to see. Okay, you can have a seat. Connection, collaboration, sharing, and leadership are components of a community that is supporting and nourishing us as we move towards that tipping point of sharing our voices. Law of context says that we are sensitive to our environments and that they strongly influence our behaviors. So my challenge to you is to become part of an environment that lifts you up through connection, collaboration, sharing, and through leadership. The third one that leads us to that tipping point is stickiness. And Malcolm says that the hardest part of communication is making sure that the message doesn't go through one ear and out the other. Stickiness is when the message makes an impact and you can't get it out of your head. If you think about what Joe talked about yesterday with making Phys Ed stick, let's take it one step further and not only make it stick within our school and our small community, but let's try and get Phys Ed to stick with everybody across the world, because we know how important it is. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And we are taking steps towards no longer standing for the stereotypes of our profession, making sure that that non-traditional becomes the traditional. Effective health and physical education is offered to every single child in every single school across our country, and hopefully at one point across our world. And that the health and physical literacy journeys of our students is the focus of what we do, not only in our schools, but also in our communities, because we cannot do it by ourselves. We are not the only stakeholder. There are many, many others that need to support us in that process. So what does it take to get to those goals? What does it take to get to that tipping point? The people, the environment, and the message. Dolly stood up and talked about 50 million strong, and I think that's an amazing message that we need to support. And I think that's a message that we can get behind all together. And you've heard many different stories throughout the week. You've heard my story. Sarah's shared hers of getting out of the uncomfortable zone. But why have we not reached that tipping point yet? Because we have the people, we have that environment, and we have the message. I believe we haven't reached that tipping point because we are trying to do it in our own tiny little silos. The online community is trying to push best practices forward on their own. Our state organizations are trying to push best practices. Our national organization, individual teachers in the classrooms are trying to do it, but we're not doing it together. We're doing it on our own. And we need to come together as a community to do that. So I have some questions for you. And if this question resonates with you, I want you to just stand up and stay standing. My first question, how many of you before coming to this conference felt as though you were an online connected educator? Please stand up and take a look around. Okay, and stay standing. How many of you feel as though, before coming to this conference, felt as though you were connected within your community? Whether that was a colleague, that was your district, state organization, somebody. You were connected with somebody. And for those of you that are still seated, before coming to this conference, did you feel disconnected and therefore came to this conference to try and become connected with somebody? Please stand up. And to those that just stand up, I need everybody else to high-five them and say thank you so much for coming out. Because these are the people you want to connect with. These are the people that we need to push our profession forward towards that tipping point. So stay standing, don't sit down yet. Okay? Today, I want you to look around you. Spin around, take a look. As you came to this conference, you were hoping to get out of a couple sessions some golden nuggets. But as you leave this conference, you're now leaving with a crowd of people that are joining you to embark on this journey towards the tipping point. You now have that crowd of people that are surrounding you as you start to dance. Malcolm says, look at the world around you. It may be an immovable, implacable place. It is not. With the slightest push and just the right place, it can be tipped. You can be that slightest push. You can be that bridge that will connect the communities together to get us all to journey together towards the tipping point. And once we reach that tipping point, there's no stopping us.
I got this feeling inside my bones. It goes electric wavy when I turn it on. Off from my city, off from my home. We're flying up, no ceiling when we in our zone. I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood in my body when it drops. I can't take my eyes off it, moving so phenomenally. You're more like the way we rock it, so don't stop. And under the lights, when everything goes.
Wait for your haircut. Watch the screen, folks. Watch that screen. Yep.
When we move, well, you already know.
Here we go. Here we go. Ready? Yep. Okay.
Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feel good, good creeping up on you, so just dance, dance, dance. Come on. All those things I shouldn't do, but you dance, dance, dance. There ain't nobody like me, so keep dancing. I can't stop the feeling. So just dance, dance, dance. I can't stop the feeling. So just dance, dance, dance. Come on. Ooh, it's something magical. It's in the air, it's in my blood, it's rushing on. I don't need no reason, don't need
I just want to say thank you so much, everybody. Help us journey towards that tipping point, and let's finish together.